6. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday, February 20th, 2014, and this is Day 9 Daily. Something. Where we learn to be a better gamer. Half-Life 3 is totally coming out because I have a shirt with a Half-Life 1 logo on it. So far, so good. In other exciting news, I'm rather tired. The sleepies didn't occur last night because my body just decided to tense a muscle. Now, I say my body decided to do it because I take no responsibility for any tensing muscles in any way. I'm not a heavy lifter, I'm not doing anything strenuous. I was actually sleeping, and being unconscious was too much of a strain on my body. So it woke me up and was like, hey, hurt really bad for 2 hours. And I was like, okay, you say so. So I took some ibuprofen and then tweeted, what should I do? And people were like, take ibuprofen. So then I took more ibuprofen. And then eventually the pain went away. I don't know if it was because of the pills, but in America, we always believe in the placebo effect. So thanks to the pills and for all things else for allowing me to get some rest last night. But I'm off. Things are really off. Let me actually explain to you how off things are. Actually, we're going to do Zerg vs. Terran, we're going to Terran vs. Zerg's Mech. We're going to talk about that in a sec. What's going to happen. But I found out something really interesting. Something really fascinating. I drove a buddy to the DMV to get a new license. Originally didn't live in California, moved here, and when that happens, you have to take a driving test to get the new license. And obviously, my friend can't drive himself over there and go get the license, so I was there. He was going to do the driver's test in my car, and we do the thing where we like swap seats, and the lady's like, alright, just wait inside. So I was like, okay. And then she goes, alright, would you turn on your right blinker? Friend turns on right blinker, and the right blinker apparently has not worked for a long time, because it definitely didn't work right then and there. Like, literally, question one. My friend was even like, I don't know, I mean, I've been driving for like 10 years. I'm just a little nervous about failing it. I'm like, dude, don't worry. They want you to pass it. And question one, turn on the blinker, turns it on. The blinker on this car is out. It should actually be illegal. And then I was kind of like, I've been attributing asshole behavior to everyone in the right lane for at least a year. For like a real long time. Like, I never understood why, when I turned my right turn signal on, the car who's tailgating me would turn on his right turn signal and try to shoot past me. And I started to get pissed, and when someone would do that, I'd be like, oh no, you fucking don't, and I would just, like, get in the right lane as I had signaled to do. I even remember a frat guy got out of his car to try to, like, chase me down. Well, I was at a red light, but it turned green and I drove away, and I was like, he's crazy, why is he so upset? It turns out I've just been cutting people off like a douchebag. Apparently what's been happening is that they see this guy going slow, because I don't speed, I go the speed limit. I just don't feel like speeding. I feel like zoning out and driving safely with a lot of space in front of me, so I'm going slow, and they want to get ahead. So they pull right up and they tailgate me, and I'm like, alright, you can totally pass me. And then, so they see me not moving, they see me not moving, they see me not moving, and then they try to rush out of the way, and then I just cut them off like an asshole. And they're like, who is this abomination of driving? And, wow, who would have thought that such a simple thing as not having a turn signal would cause me to think that everyone who drives on the right is the worst human ever? I have been just having these self-righteous rants like, why do bicyclists try to scoot past a car that's turning right? I'm just going to hit USC bicyclists now. They deserve to die for their poor decision-making. And they're just seeing this raging idiot swerving everywhere. I thought all of humanity was a jerk driver. And now I'm realizing that I've had great interactions with people on the left, but fuck people on the right. And it's because I have a broken turn signal. So that's the sort of day that I've been having. Every time I see a police officer behind me, we make a lot of left turns to get out of there. And sometimes it's hard. We're a little tired. We're a little self-aware. and we're going to do a little bit of TvZ Mech. One Terran is through the GSL. Yeah, his name is Bbyong Bbyong. And I got a question for you. I know people love, generally speaking, to poop on the Protoss. Protoss is so imba. How is anyone supposed to win? Terrans are not succeeding, and it is because of Protoss. I don't find Terran vs. Protoss to be as hard as Terran vs. Zerg. Like, that's my opinion. Those are my thoughts. I don't know if you agree or not, but here's why I don't like it. Because when you're going for bio and you're preparing your little push, I know for a fact when I'm moving out with that push that if it's the wrong time or not enough, I'm not getting out of there alive. I am very fucked if I am moving out incorrectly. Because Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutalisks are faster than everything I have. And even the emergency afterburners, the Mega Thruster boost on the Medevac, that doesn't help you get away. That gives you 15 seconds of false hope before the Mutalisks kill every fucking thing inside of it. So I tend to think that the Terran vs. Zerg matchup is a little bit, it feels harder to me. Terran vs. Protoss, I feel like I can at least do things. I feel like there are a wealth of choices that I can make, maneuvering-wise. Terran vs. Zerg, I've been feeling a little bit, So I was debating between doing Terran vs. Protoss-focused or Terran vs. Zerg-focused today, but since I did a Terran vs. Protoss very recently, I am, for this reason, focusing on this matchup. Right now, we've had very little educational content other than Sean's having an off day, and he thinks TvZ's pretty tough. So we're going to actually go into the game and talk about, contextually, what we's going to see. Bbyong is going to go mech in this matchup. That doesn't really tell us much. We don't know why or in what way or what that's all about. But generally speaking, consider what I was referring to earlier. This feeling of, oh man, my Marine Medevac mine pushes. If they move out improperly, they can get totally overwhelmed. Same is absolutely true for Mech, yet historically speaking, Mech is just a lot tougher and more difficult to kill. As an example, ever had Banelings hit your Marines? Anyone? Yes, all of you. Good. You know what I'm talking about. It's very fragile. So Mech might very well feel like, I would call it the modern exploration for Terrans. It's what Terrans are really fiddling with more frequently. We see Terrans like Supernova and Bbyong using it very, very frequently on maps where there are close distances. So of course, to talk about Mech, we have to refer to the minimap, which is so dark you can't see anything. I can't change the gamma, so you're just going to have to trust me. These distances are not very long between the bases, which is super important. I want you to imagine Altersm Stronghold trying to move cross-map with tanks that have to attach to the ground, Thors that have a better mile time than I did in 3rd grade, which means you need extra information. I had a not good mile time in 3rd grade. It was like 12 minutes. And many of you are European, and you're like, what is a mile? And I'm like, stop being reasonable. A mile is 5,280 feet. Just deal with it. I'm on a tangent, but we're going to let me be on a tangent, because that's what I want to be on today. Tanks attached to the ground, Hellions are the fast ones, but they're the most fragile ones. Thors are slow, Hellbats are slow, Mines also have to attach to the ground. And you're on Altersm Stronghold. What he can cause you to do is siege up and then go around you and then... So, we like short distances with Mech. We very much so like them. Again, I'm ignoring Marine Marauder. We'll take a look at that in part 3. But for now, we want close distances, and we also want controlled spaces. Might be a little hard to see here, but I'll try my best to note on this very dark 3rd base. Here's the 3rd, in this area here. And there's a choke coming in this way, a choke coming in this way, a choke coming in this way, a choke coming in this way. Very easy to feel as though there's a lot of different attack angles, and it might not be so nice for Mech. But notice, again, if we come to our mini-map, that if I can secure this position that's inside this trapezoid, I have this right path covered, this bottom path covered, this other bottom path covered, and I can actually move out along one of those directions, and by simply parking here, I defend the other 3. Mech, absolutely critical to think about expansions. We can easily get 1, 2, 3, 4 expansions. These are not going to be the tough ones to secure at all. Likewise for Zerg. Zerg's just going to get these 4. But if we look past in the map, we can get this and deny this expansion really easily. Simply by, like, sieging tanks in the middle does most of the defensive work for us. This expansion is going to be really hard for Zerg to take. And this expansion, well, hell, if we just push the exact same way I was talking about earlier, this is pretty easy to kill off. So there's a lot of nice attack opportunities on Heavy Rain based upon the expansions that would make me feel like, wow, that's really good. That's really nice. A lot of good attack angles, a lot of easy to defend expansions, and I'm not thinking about really drilling into the main base at all at this point. So we've talked about why we might want to go mech, generally speaking, on this map, but what are some important considerations? Well, for one, what about a third? Should we take this as our third base? Well, I mean, it's the closest proximity-wise. Like, I can rally here and feel like I'm close, but it's kind of open. What about this one? This is a lot farther of a distance between the bases and is equally as open. So how do you defend an open third? Sean, you talk a lot. Can you recap? Yes. Yeah, I can do that. Check it out. We look at the map, we say, mech in general seems really good. I'm going to do that. And now we have our second problem. I call our first problem, based upon a previous decision. How the hell do we hold a third? Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's check it out, Joe. Brux. Going down first, and we see a Reaper as the first choice out of Bbyong. Now, this is a very sensible thing to do. We want gas for our build order, so we may as well begin getting gas early on in whatever opening we choose to do. I could go command center, refinery barracks. That would be another way to get gas comparatively very early. I could, hell, even do something like go refinery barracks, ultra fast, Hellion. But here's some really cute stuff that we're going to see out of Bbyong. First and foremost, he's going to get a Reaper. Okay, that's not that amazing. He's going to wall himself in. Alright, I get it. Most of the time what we see is one more Reaper and then a halt on all the production here. We see a factory plop down. We see a reactor plop down. But here's something that I'm going to like out of Bbyong that is so unbelievably subtle, it might be hard to even wrap your head around it. Third Reaper. This seems like one of the smallest adjustments in the world. Most people are going to Reaper, factory with reactor, and then doing some Hellion Reaper harassment. Why would I think a third Reaper is such a huge deal? At a surface level, it seems like the exact same as 2 Reaper Hellion, except now I just have a third Reaper, and the Hellions are slower? That seems sort of weird. What would be the other effect of this? It's all going to be about the economy. When we invest 50 gas here, this is 50 less gas that we have to get our factory up. We're getting Hellions later. If we're getting the Hellions later, or I should say, if we're getting the factory later, we're going to be beginning Hellion production, and hence spending a lot of money later. We're deferring that. In short, by getting this Reaper early, by doing this Reaper before the factory, we don't really have a lot of ways to spend minerals. And we won't have a lot of ways to spend minerals in the near future. Bbyong is going to be able to use this to get up quite a fast third command center for what he's doing. In terms of just general space control, you heard me ask that question, how the hell would you get yourself up a safe third? And the way that we're going to see Bbyong do it is he's going to go Reaper with Hellion with Banshee. That's a very expensive series of things to be doing early on. But as we can see, this good old Reaper is going to be popping out. Thoink. Come on. There's the reactor. Obviously, these Reapers are doing nice harassment damage, nifty. There's going to be a third Reaper coming out. But this is a very, very fast command center for someone who's going to be going for a Banshee. Most of the time, players have a very awkward third command center timing. And if you've done a lot of this sort of, you know, Reaper into Hellion into Banshee opening, you'll know how awkward the timing for this command center can feel. But here Bbyong, by delaying this factory, he's not going to have as great of Hellion count super fast. But he's still going to get Hellions out at a reasonable time. Instant starport coming up after that. This, I just think, was a fantastic, very slight, very subtle adjustment. And now we have a third command center coming out. We've got enough resources to get these Hellions. We have enough resources to get this tech lab. We have enough supply to be able to build stuff, especially with this next command center coming up. We don't even have to build another depot right here. And this is obviously a very supply-heavy opening, building Hellions 2 at a time, and building the starport right away. But I mean, look at this. Right as we would really begin to want constructing a second supply depot, like we really kind of need a second supply depot already on the way, because we're doing Hellions 2 at a time, SCVs 2 at a time, Banshees 1 at a time. But thank God for this command center, because look at it, it's going to pop out right on time. It's a series of really irrelevant seeming things. You're like, well, who cares? It's just a third Reaper. Well, it causes this really powerful trickle through. Delightfully enough, you know it's not that important to have ultra fast anymore? Hellions. People used to just be getting Hellions more and more and more early to try to kill queens, try to deny creep spread. Well, guess what? Zergs, they can just do that now. Zergs are remarkably good at just shutting down these Hellions. So, hey, cool. Players have begun to get their Banshees incorporated in everything. But now with this, Bbyong is applying a lot of pressure early with the Reapers, a good amount of follow-up pressure with the Hellions. He's getting Banshee and Cloak. And the third command center is out as well. God, I love that! That's really slick. It's really super good. Now, this is done at the cost of Marines. There's no Marines here. There's no bunker here. There's nothing going on here. So we're going to see some of les issues. Banshees do take a hell of a long time to pop out. So this is a rather aggressive way to open. This bunker is actually going to be used for the Reapers. Yeah! Pretty aggressive way to open, but no big deal. This orbital command, the instant it finished, it gets to move forward, and just, this is my most favorite time of the entire game right now, 8 minutes. Look at this. Everything is just lined up. 6 Hellions, 3 Reapers, a Banshee, all out as the third command center comes down. If Zerg had an all-in en route, it would have been spotted by the Reaper, and the Hellions and the Banshees would have been in more than enough time and position to be able to deal with it. What if it's a little bit of a delayed follow-up push to try to shut down this third? No problem. All of the key pieces are together. And what if no aggression is planned for Zerg? Well, cool. Let's just go attack this third base that he's taking out. I think this is a fantastic, fan-frickin-tastic opening. We might also say, well, why not do this with Bio? Why could I not do this with Bio? And the answer comes in looking at when this barracks could have gotten Stim. Stim is just way late. The double upgrades would be way late. There's just not quite enough gas to both get this third command center up and get the Banshee and get the Cloak and get the factory and get the 3 Reapers. It's just not quite enough gas to do all that and have reasonably timed those other things. So this is becoming an increasingly common opening for Zergs. Well, gee, if you think you're going to be aggressive against me, the only way you can do true Terran aggression is by going Reaper, Hellion, Banshee, or committing hard to Hellion, Banshee. But hell, when True sees the Reapers, and then sees the Hellions, and then sees the tech up to Banshee, there's nothing back here. There's nothing at home. We can really understand why those 2 Marines were built for Bbyong, as opposed to anything else, but this is where the game just gets a little bit tricky and a little bit weird. Bbyong is unwilling to leave this front. He wants to stay here. His stuff eventually pulls away because this is going to be broken. Continued harassment. I think that probably some attacking makes sense, but Bbyong doesn't even do that much of it before pulling all the way back. He's really got to head home and try to keep this stuff alive. This winds up being not horrible, but not really that nice of an exchange either. I mean, everything's still getting attacked a lot. In short, micro management, etc. Not a huge amount of SCVs have been killed off, but the unit's loss tab shows that it's reasonably even. It just kind of seems like a weird spot. And in the face of all this weirdness, Bbyong goes for a double armory. Bbyong is well aware of a huge threat that every meching player will face, the Mutalisk. Mutalisk is the biggest threat for mech, bar none. Bar none. Every unit that comes out of the factory can hit roaches and lings and banelings. Every single one. Only the Thor, and okay, the Mind, look, but back off. Only the Thor can reliably deal with mutas. Reliably, as in, I will never have 3 mines positioned around my base and think, cool, mutas can't hurt me. If I have, like, 15 mines in 2 locations, and he incidentally flies over them, okay, now it's actually working. If I have like a force that's already shooting air and I defend it with mines, okay, that'll kill mutas. But I can never micro my mines, like literally, like an only mine army will never micro really well to deal with Mutalisks maneuvering around, so we don't count them. So we know that mutas are the huge threat. We've gotten ourselves up this mobile force, which we found out, damn, we really need that to kill this stuff off. How do we deal with this Mutalisk threat? You would think that there would be a huge sprint up to the, you think there would be a huge sprint to trying to get up Thors really, really fast, valuing that over all. But instead, upgrades are the first choice. We're going to stare at this build order just a little bit more. The starport, interestingly, is the structure that begins to get the extra add-ons. And soon enough, I think this barracks will be doing some too. More micro, more etc. going on. Notice no additional geysers anywhere, here, there, or any which where. Generally, these would be going down a little bit earlier. I think we do need 2 additional geysers popping up. But yeah, I find this rather interesting. The starport is actually not doing much in the early game, other than building, you know, those first, I believe it was 2 Banshees, yep. And we can see the Mutalisk's about to pop out for True. Let's go back to the Bbyong cam and see exactly how he deals with this little moment. First and foremost, just missile turrets. Not a lot, just a couple. 1 in each zone. These 2 things really would like to have been up earlier, but they can't due to all the aggression and harassment. And that's what the Banshees are for. In this scary intermediary period, where we just don't know if we quite have the Thors up, we can see the flexibility of thinking going on here. Splitting these up, harassing, sitting parked. Great, we see that the Lings are dealt with by leaving this force back. Where are those Mutalisks? They're either rushing to our base in kind of small numbers, but most of the time they'll actually have to be back here dealing with these Banshees. Actually, where are the Banshees? Or not the Banshees, the Mutalisks. Bam. There they are. Ah, wonderful, wonderful. These Banshees serve such a critical purpose in the early game. God, they're so great. Even if they never kill anything. Bless their little souls. And now we have the 2 Thors popping out right on time. Looking oh so good. Moving back on in. I think they've killed mostly workers. Yeah. And look, even revealing himself, being like, hey, mutas, you should totally be over here. Alright, cool, I'm dead. And then we see a mixture that we looked at a little while ago, which is Thors and Vikings. Vikings seem like an odd choice, but they're used very well with missile turrets to shoot safely at the Mutalists and retreat into range of those. And it's just more Thors getting produced all the time. So we've gotten a chance to see this nice opening, and the key aspects of it are the following. General harassment at the start. Reapers into Hellions, into Cloaked Banshee, applying a lot of pressure, and then using the Banshees to buy enough time to get the Thors up. We saw the literal attacks that are of most concern, and we saw that Bbyong was able to hold it off. Not extremely smoothly, but in the worst possible counterattack that Bbyong could ever experience. Still did a pretty reasonable job shifting his things around and being in good shape. I think he did a very, very reasonable job of holding it off. And I think that's a great example of as bad as it can be for Bbyong. And then still was able to sort of comfortably return back. The timings weren't lining up at all. But don't think about it in terms of timing, because True really messed hard with Bbyong. If you just keep the concepts down, you'll see how great this build is. 1-1 already complete, 2-2. Can get started soon. We're going to see these extra refineries pop up. The Mutalisks can only arrive now because the Banshees split up with Cloak and could do great harassment. And more importantly, the lead up to this period was all safe. Any all-in would be easily thwarted by the Banshees. The most important detail takeaway is that Third Reaper had a huge rippling impact on what was possible with the economy. Most players are rushing up to the factory and then rushing up to the starport thereafter. But getting a factory and a starport sooner means there's ways to spend your money sooner. And that third command center winds up being very awkward and hard to pop out. I think that was a brilliant, brilliant job by Bbyong. So when we return, what happens in the mid-game? We've gotten alive and now we can't really seem to attack anymore. Stay tuned because we'll show you. And by we, I mean me. I mean, it's just me here. Me and Manfred. Okay, look, we'll show you. We'll show you. We're on a break.